It's a little too early to get in this question, Dylan every day on Twitter, aka X, but he had to poke the bear because I put out a question on Wednesday. I said, hey, give me some questions for our Michigan football mailbag that we'll have here for you on Friday. And what did he say? Updates on the Wi-Fi at the Big House. You guys know, last thing 4 seasons, maybe 5, I have made a massive rant. We put it out in socials. It's done very well. But that Michigan football is still, it's in the Stone Ages when it comes to connection at the stadium. I'll answer that question in a second. But I'm going to start today's show asking you guys a question, trivia question. We asked this on the show about 2.5 years ago, Jack. So if you remember, if you guys were around back in 2003, if you're not young kids, or if you are and you've got some history, Michigan made an epic comeback on a Friday night because I think the Twins were playing in the MLB playoffs in 2003, and part of it was a long pass across the field one way, pass back all the way back to John Navarre, and he rumbled like 50 yards on the sideline for a touchdown. The question for you guys is, who caught that backward lateral pass and threw it 40 yards back across, directly straight across the field to John Navarre, who threw the touchdown pass to John Navarre in Michigan's 2003 comeback win at Minnesota? I'll let you guys know at the end of today's Michigan Football Report. How about this Wi-Fi? Now, every time we do this on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, obviously here on YouTube, I don't know about TikTok. I don't know if we ever actually put this rant on TikTok. And this isn't the annual. This is not the official rant. We put it out there. But people say, well, pay attention to the game, dude. Pay attention to the game. That's not the point, okay? The point is this. It's not about scrolling through social media or taking pictures and putting them on Instagram. It's not that. One, it's nice to be able to communicate to other people at the game, right? Every time I go to a game, I try and connect with people who watch the show that I've made, developed relationships with, whether it's your Twitter DM, the comments here on YouTube. I've taken plenty of viewers through text messaging before. I mean, we were at Houston. I met people left and right. And when you're at a game and say, hey, why don't we try and meet up and just say hello and take a picture at halftime? Okay, cool. Where do you want to meet? Yeah, get within 10 minutes of the stadium walking, you lose all cell signal. Now, I remember back, one of my guys, I won't say his name because I'm not sure if he wants to, but anyways, one of the longtime viewers of the show, 2022 season, Hawaii game, night game, pouring rain outside. The game was delayed like an hour and a half. You guys remember this one. J.J. McCarthy's first start was with my dad, my 2 sisters. We were downtown having some drinks, food, walked to the game. Everyone's hiding under trees, everything like that. And he had sent me a message. He maybe sent me a DM, I think, on Twitter. And he's like, hey, James, it's pouring. I know you said you're at the game. If you need a place to hang out with while it's raining, we've got some beers for you. Come on by. Here's my address. What do you think happened then, Jack? I tried to put the, and this isn't necessarily a Wi-Fi thing, but I tried to put it in Google Maps, right, to see where his house was, how far away it was, and I got no signal, right? This is not how we should be living in 2025. I should be able to post a picture. I should be able to find out what's going on in other games because there's only 8 or 9 minutes of actual football play that happens in the 4 hours you're in the stadium. So anyone saying that, you just pay attention to the game isn't really that much work. And I want to know what's going on in other games. I want to be able to communicate with people. And hell, I'm a parent of 2 kids. What happens if something happens there, right? It's just unacceptable at this point. Almost every stadium I go to, the only 2 that I know for sure in the last few years, Notre Dame Stadium, absolute nightmare from noon until 10 p.m. I had no cell signal within 10 minutes of the stadium. And then Michigan Stadium, old school programs, old school stadiums, no cell signal, no Wi-Fi. I mean, hell, pay Verizon $25,000. They'll bring in one of those, cell tower on wheels and just jack up the cell tower. I think it's a damn shame that Michigan can't get with the program. I bet that someone would do it for free. Maybe they get some advertising somewhere else outside of Michigan Stadium. We'll see how that shakes out, but it's kind of annoying and makes me not want to go to as many games as I used to. Michigan medal, my man, appreciate you. Is it possible that Davis Warren starts week 1? I don't think so. Got injured in the Alabama game. Beat Ohio State as a starting quarterback, beat Alabama as a starting quarterback, but he didn't finish the Alabama one. And, he's still injured. And it's a pretty serious injury. Missed all of spring practice. Haven't seen any videos or any heard of him really throwing at all. And it's not like he was J.J. McCarthy or even Cade McNamara last season coming back. So the only way Davis Warren starts the opening game, right, week 1, absolute worst case scenario. I think you would probably have to have injuries or suspensions for whatever reasons. I'm not saying even speculating that suspensions, but they just would not be able to have to play Mikey, Keene, or Bryce Underwood. And I still don't know what to make of Jadyn Davis because with all the problems Michigan had last year at the quarterback position, Jadyn Davis couldn't throw a single pass. I'm not counting him for anything really this season. But I'll ask you guys, there's the question of this segment of the show, this portion of the show. Who is the game one starter? Type BU if it's Bryce Underwood. If you think it's Mikey Keene, the Fresno State transfer who played against Michigan last year, had a pretty okay game. Type MK, Davis Warren. Type DW, or the redshirt freshman Jadyn Davis. Give me a JD. So let me know who you guys think is the game one starter. We got challenged in our mid-May company meeting on the 15th. We got challenged by our other show, Alabama Football Report, right? It's our sister show. We got 3 college football shows here at Chat Sports. They said, hey, James, not putting as much content anymore, bro. We beat you last month in new subscribers for the first time ever. We're doing it again, and they're crushing us right now, right? A little halfway through the month, they are crushing us. We've done 6-7 videos this month, but only have 74 new net subscribers. They have 214. Let's be better than the Alabama fans here on YouTube. Help me out. Send the link to the show, youtube.com/Michigan TV, to a friend, or hit that subscribe button if you are doing there. I don't want to be back here on May 31st saying we got defeated by Alabama because we saw it last year. Michigan beats Alabama twice in 1 year. How about 3 times in the course of 16 months? 2 in the field, 1 here on YouTube at Chat Sports. It's Diz MC. He's saying over-under Michigan's win total of 8.5. So if any of you guys saw this, win totals came out from a few of the casinos over the last few days. Ironically, Jack, no SEC team with a win total over 9.5. Even Georgia, Alabama, I think we're at 9.5. Alabama might have even been 8.5. But 2 Big Ten teams at 10.5, 10.5 wins, which is Ohio State and Oregon. I think Penn State may have been 10. Well, it could have been 10.5 as well. But Michigan at 8.5, which is honestly, I think that's exactly what they were last year at this time. Games at Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC, Michigan State, like he says there in the comments. Let's take a look at the schedule. Let's just walk through them, right? Because I've been saying 10-2 until I really have a grasp of this team. Will I maybe increase, my guess, maybe go up from there, maybe go down. We'll see. This is a tough run of it, right? Especially if you don't have Sherrone Moore, which is seemingly, being more and more likely. You're going to win New Mexico and Oklahoma, in Central Michigan, knock on wood. That Oklahoma game, they're a damn good team. They brought off a hell of a quarterback from Washington State. They're in a much better position than they were 4 or 5 months ago when we first were looking at this game going into the 2025 season out of 2024. They upgraded the quarterback. They did a good job in the transfer portal. That's a much better team than I think we were expecting, 5 months ago at the end of the 2025 season. Nebraska, at Nebraska. Big time step up in quarterback, that sophomore jump, maybe sophomore slump for Dylan Viola. You get into the month of October. Where's Wisconsin? It's not the Wisconsin of old, but still, Wisconsin has players. They've got themselves a pretty damn good head coach that's won, for a number of years. At USC, I don't know what we're going to get out of USC this year, but still, how many times over the years has Michigan gone out to the West Coast? Just last year, Washington, and lost games they shouldn't have lost. It's happened for decades. It's going back to the 70s. Bo lost so many games, Rose Bowls, to USC and other Washington that they were favored in or should have won the game. Washington home, Michigan State, you get into the month of November, and you've got Purdue by Northwestern, Wisconsin logo there to fix, Maryland, Ohio State, and the Big Ten Championship game with what Michigan will, of course, be in for the 4th time in 5 years. But the litmus test games, right? What games are going to matter for this team, right? What games will make or break this 2025 season? You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a football expert. You don't have to have a show on YouTube to know these are the games that are going to matter. If Michigan loses games other than these ones, you've got much bigger problems. I'll tell you about them in just 1 second. But first, I've got to tell you about our sponsor, and that is Factor. The litmus test for you is how well you eat, and I have been eating great with Factor. They are back as a sponsor of the Michigan Football Report. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Why inside cooking? Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors when the weather's nice. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. You've got 45 weekly menu options to choose from. You pick gourmet meals that fit your goals, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. I haven't eaten Factor for about 6-7 months now, probably, right, Jack? Maybe a little longer than that. I love them. I can't wait to eat them. I put them in the microwave, and I am satisfied every single time. Get started at factormeals.com/MichiganChat 50 off. Use code MichiganChat 50 off. That link, that promo code is down in the comments and description of today's video. That gets you 50% off your first box plus free shipping. You don't want to let that deal pass you by. Get started with Factor. You will love it. Link in the comments. Link in the code is down in the comments and description. 50% off plus free shipping. So you have to be a genius to know these are the key games for Michigan, right? And I think if a loss comes any game other than these ones, then I think the season's gone off the rails. Or Sherrone Moore's winning games he should win and losing games that he shouldn't, which is kind of what happened in a lot of ways last season. And that season did go off the rails, right? You beat number 11 USC, right? They didn't turn out to be number 11, but they were number 11. You beat number 2 Ohio State. You beat number 11 at the time, Alabama, okay? And then you were in the game. I know they ended up losing by 21 points to Oregon, but it was a one-score game, and Michigan had the ball, I think, in the fourth quarter, and then Oregon, turnover, scored, and they put in one late touchdown to make it look like it was a bigger, three-score win than it should have been. Michigan should have beat Indiana. With any quarterback play, they beat Indiana last year. Oh my gosh, they should have beat Illinois. It was the most mind-numbing game I can remember since the Rich Rod era. They absolutely should have beat Washington. So, this is a team last year that did the opposite of what they need to do this year, which is win they won the games they maybe shouldn't have, they didn't deserve to, and lost some ones that they absolutely needed to. But if you get out of the month of September and you beat Oklahoma on the road, you beat Nebraska on the road, and you're 4-0, going into USC a couple weeks after that, you got Wisconsin, you're feeling good. You go on the road to USC and you win that game when you're 6-0. Oh, baby, the hype is going to get started, especially if Bryce Underwood, if Justice Haynes, if any of these Michigan football players, Donovan McCulley, are making big-time plays, the hype will grow. But Michigan could be 3-3 at that point. They could be 6-0. Those games, and then the Ohio State game is the other litmus test one for obvious reasons, the key games to this season. I'll ask you guys, I'm sticking at 10-2. Jack, where you at? Where you at? Predict down in the comments. 12-game regular season record, just the games on the schedule. Let me know. Predict down in the comments. What you got, Jack?
I mean, it's really early to tell. 6. No, not 6. What am I talking about? I'm going to go 9 and 3. Is that 3?
Math.
Would that be 3?
That's math.
Yeah, that'd be 9 and 3.
They don't pay him the big bucks for his math skills. But 9-3, Jack says, I'm saying 10-2. Let me know what you guys think. Really, if you're an Ohio State fan, if you put 7-5, I'm coming for you. I'm going to get you. Like this guy, a guy from Twitter. He's an Ohio State fan. What do you think will happen if Michigan gets a one-year postseason ban? Will they fire coaches? Will they lose players in the portal? I don't think they'd fire coaches unless part of it was like Sherrone Moore was the smoking gun of everything that they think that we did wrong here. So it's like these texts got to say, hey, Connor, I'm sending $1,000 in cash under my keyboard. Go get it and pay all these people to go spy. I need the spy footage. Like, it's got to be that egregious, I think, for Sherrone, even if this program gets a one-season ban, for him to get fired because of it, unless it's something much more than what we know now. Will they lose players in the portal? It's possible, especially guys who are seniors, like a TJ Guy, a Derek Moore, maybe even a couple of those players, Damon Payne or others that came over from other programs. Payne and others that came to Michigan for their last year, and Michigan players who were on there last year, like the Derek Moores of the world. You never know if those guys would start looking around saying, hey, I don't want to go out, not playing in the college football playoff. I don't want to go out not being able to play in the Big Ten championship game if and when this Michigan team gets there. So I would say, yeah, they'll probably lose 2, 3, 4 starters, I would guess, just based on what we've seen in the past of other programs if that were to happen. Let's go with Tommy Tombstone. What will be the uniform variations they'll wear throughout the season, home and away? I know Harbaugh brought some new traditions with various alternate uniforms, or whether they stick to the legacy, bring anything new to the table. Now, I think the best addition over the past 4 years was the all blues that they started wearing in 2021. Was it the first time they wore them was the Ohio State game, or they were wearing prior to that season? I can't remember, but they're starting to mix it up, right? They had the white aways and the standard homes for the first 5, 6, 7 years of the Harbaugh. Post-COVID, started mixing it up, right? Then you've got white pants and this and maize and et cetera. So you got a lot of different combos throughout the years of Jim Harbaugh's last 3 years. Now you go back to 2017. This is the only time in that first 5 years of Harbaugh you really got anything different was when they wore the maize jerseys for the first time ever, at least in the modern era, and maize pants, the all maize Michigan football uniforms. But they have not brought them back since that game first week of the 2017 season against Florida here in Dallas. Now, Bryce Underwood and other recruits have tweeted out this photo for the last year, the maize jerseys with the white pants, right? A combo, a home alternate jersey, and the road pants, which we've never actually seen this combo. And frankly, we've never seen Michigan wear maize jerseys in the modern era. Like, again, I'm going back color TV era, so 50, 60 years. Have never worn maize jerseys at home, or I believe have never worn white pants at home either. So this would be an interesting combo. But nothing can be worse. So whatever they bring out, as I was looking back for some of these interesting combos to go, I kept coming across some of these ones. Nothing could get worse than the Brady Hoke, Dave Brandon, Adidas brainchilds of 2011 and 2012, maybe even to 2013. You guys remember these ones. I'll go back to those ones for a second, Jack, if you can. Michigan went on the road and lost to Michigan State in 2011, a game, one of the two losses that year, which was a really good year, Sugar Bowl, etc., top 10 season. And these were the alternative to the night game uniforms they wore against Notre Dame. We'll show you here in a second. But the Bumblebee shoulders were so ugly. How about these ones? They wore, and I'll go back to those, fine. Go in 2012 with like all blues with the striped letters. What in the hell were they thinking? Adidas was just such a disaster. These ones people kind of said they tried to act like at the time, but the throwback big block, skinny block M with the Bumblebee striped shoulders. Looking back, it was absolutely embarrassing. And there are a couple more in there, like uniforms they wore with like the maize shoulders and the all whites against South Carolina in the bowl game. So whatever they were doing 12 years ago, crap. Whatever they've done the last 3 or 4 years, want more of that. I would like to see maybe an all maize one time again, but it would actually be cool one time to see a maize jersey and maybe blue pants, right? Maybe they do that one game, but we saw the striped stadium, right? Maize blue stripes against USC. Maybe see a little inverse uniform for one game this year or into the future. Let me ask you guys this question. Big game. Will Michigan beat Oklahoma? How are you feeling about it right now? I'm going yes. I'm going to that game. We're putting out good vibes, Jack. I'm saying yes in Oklahoma. I'm going to paint the town red. Let me know what you guys think, yes or no. Eric Polite, coming over from the YouTube channel, right here on YouTube, says, who are your favorite role players from the Lloyd Carr era? I had to think about this one for a little bit. And I tried to say, guys, I personally kind of had forgotten about until I was just going back through rosters and going back through some of my favorite games, like who made plays that game. Oh, yeah. Players I didn't include here, right? People said, hey, he wasn't a role player. Ernest Shazer, I think he's an unsung hero, for especially his play in 2020 or 2004. 2004. All-American first team, left early and didn't get drafted. It was very surprising. These guys were never All-American or really even All-Conference. Victor Hobson may have been All-Conference, second team or something like that. But Aaron Shea, great fullback, toughest guy in the field, played with Tom Brady, good friend of Brady, went on to play in the NFL for years. Roy Manning, like a fifth-year guy in that 2003 year, which just seemed to be at Michigan forever. Wasn't super athletically gifted, but was always making plays. Victor Hobson, probably the most decorated out of all these players. But I always loved Victor Hobson, that big, bad number 6. Steve Preston, right? 2003, 4, 5, 6. He never really made as big of an impact as wide receiver as you would hope. But, man, he was probably the most electric kick and punt returner that Michigan's had outside of Desmond Howard in the last 35 years. And he had a nice cup of tea in the NFL for 3 or 4 seasons. Then Alan Branch, also a guy you could probably say, hey, he was like a second-round draft pick, was a second-team All-Big Ten player. But that was overshadowed in that 2006 season especially by certainly by Sean Crable and by Prescott Burgess, but most importantly on his own defensive line by Lamar Woodley. So in a defense full of stars in 2005 and 2006, he was a guy who didn't get as much accolades, but making plays just like Mason Grant and Kenneth Grant were for these last few years. So those are 5 unsung heroes from the Lloyd Carr era that I kind of put on my my plate. Let me know if you guys have any difference or other ones from that era. Jack Lauderay, imposter, real guy, young Harbaugh. Hey, James, first time caller, first time commenter, long time, big fan of the show. Power rank the QBs most likely to start from week 1 to least likely to start week 1. I don't think it's any different than what we showed you, on I think earlier this show or in last shows. This is the depth chart as we're coming out of spring practice, the way I see it and how I've been told. And I think that's the most likely that we'll see. I think you maybe make an argument that Jadyn Davis could be above Davis Warren just because he's got 3 or 4 more years this program, and if it came down to it, maybe a game in the second half where Michigan's up by 2 touchdowns and they want to get some experience, maybe they go to Jadyn Davis over Davis Warren because of just the future. But if it was starting a game one from start to finish, I think they would choose Davis Warren over Jadyn Davis any day of the week. And barring injury or anything like that, I think it's Bryce Underwood's team going forward based on what we saw in spring and kind of the developments over the past few weeks coming out of spring ball. Here's a question that I have argued with people for years as we're talking about quarterbacks. Who's most likely? Bryce Underwood starting as a true freshman. That happened much like Chad Henne did, right? Started right out of the gate in 2004. Denard Robinson didn't, but he started as a sophomore, started as a junior, and then kind of lost his starting job his senior year because of injury, and then just kind of transitioned over to running back. Who was a better quarterback in Michigan? Their all-time leader in a bunch of stats, Chad Henne, or maybe the most electric player to ever carry the ball from the backfield, quarterback or running back in Denard Robinson. Give me a 7 or a 16. I think the younger you are, you're going to say 16. The older you are, you're going to say 7. I am saying 7. Trivia time. Who was the player that threw that 37-yard pass across the field? It really was a 0-yard pass. It was like 1 yard above, in front of the line of scrimmage, but it's like 40 yards across the street, across the field, rumbled 37 yards down the sideline, and it was one of those players that we just talked about, unsung heroes, none other than Steve Breaston, Arizona Cardinals' finest, Michigan football. I don't say legendary, but he was pretty good. I love watching myself some Stevie Breaston. Go watch some Steve Breaston highlights, Jack, on YouTube after you're done producing the show if you've never seen him in action as a kick returner for Michigan. Reminder, though, send the show to friends. Let's beat Alabama. I've got 2 weeks and 2 days to beat their butt again, just like Michigan did on the field last year. Now we can do it on YouTube. Go Blue.